Picture yourself in 1943, walking through an American neighborhood. Nearly every front yard, and a huge number of backyards too, is packed with vegetables. Tomatoes climbing stakes next to the front porch. Rows of beans where a flower bed would normally sit. Neighbors trading extra zucchini over the fence. At its peak, these so-called victory gardens were producing an estimated 40% of all the fresh vegetables consumed in the entire country. Now walk through that same neighborhood today. Grass. Just grass. Mowed in perfect stripes, edged along the sidewalk, sprayed to keep it a uniform green, and not a single vegetable in sight. How did a nation that once grew nearly half its produce in its own front yards end up legally required, in many places, to grow nothing but decorative turf? Let's go back to where this actually started. During both world wars, the federal government actively encouraged citizens to plant gardens to ease pressure on the commercial food supply, which was being redirected to feed soldiers overseas. Posters, radio campaigns, and government pamphlets turned home gardening into a patriotic duty. By 1944, an estimated 20 million Americans had a victory garden, and these gardens weren't tucked away in some backyard corner. They were proudly displayed out front, a visible sign you were doing your part for the war effort. For a brief moment, growing your own food wasn't just practical. It was the height of civic pride. Then the war ended, and almost immediately, everything reversed. The first force was suburban expansion, as we've talked about before. The late 1940s and 50s saw an explosion of mass-produced suburban housing, and developers like William Levitt didn't just build identical houses, they built identical lawns. A uniform green lawn became part of the aesthetic package, marketed alongside the house itself as a symbol of order, prosperity, and conformity. A messy vegetable patch didn't fit that image. It looked like wartime necessity. And wartime necessity was exactly what suburbia was trying to leave behind. The second force was chemical industry marketing. Companies that had spent the war years producing chemicals for military use suddenly needed new peacetime markets. Scott's, which had already been selling grass seed since the 1860s, expanded aggressively into fertilizers and lawn care products throughout the 1950s, pouring money into advertising that reframed a perfect lawn as a moral responsibility, not just a landscaping choice. A scraggly yard wasn't just unattractive anymore, it was treated as a sign of a lazy or careless homeowner. The lawn became a referendum on your character, whether you intended it to or not. The third force, and the one almost nobody expects, was homeowners associations. Just like with clotheslines, HOAs began writing strict rules about front yard appearance starting in the 1950s and 60s, and those rules overwhelmingly favored uniform turf grass over anything that looked even slightly agricultural. Vegetable gardens in front yards were frequently banned outright, treated the same way as an unsightly addition to the home. Today, researchers estimate that tens of millions of Americans live under HOA rules that either heavily restrict or completely prohibit growing food crops where neighbors can see them. Here's the number that puts the scale of this reversal in perspective. The American lawn now covers more land than any irrigated crop in the country, including corn. Estimates put total American lawn area at over 40 million acres, an area roughly the size of the entire state of Georgia, and most of it produces nothing except grass that gets cut, bagged, and thrown away. And growing that grass isn't free. Americans spend tens of billions of dollars every year on lawn care, mowing, fertilizing, watering, and treating with pesticides and herbicides. Residential lawns consume an enormous share of treated municipal water during summer months in many cities. Water treated to drinking standards just to keep ornamental grass green. Meanwhile, the same square footage, if planted with vegetables, could be feeding the household that owns it. Some cities pushed back, occasionally for surprising reasons. During severe droughts in California in the 2010s, several municipalities actually paid homeowners to rip out their lawns entirely and replace them with drought-tolerant landscaping or food gardens. A complete reversal of the post-war mentality that once treated grass as mandatory. A handful of states have also passed right to garden laws explicitly preventing HOAs from banning vegetable gardens, similar to the right to dry laws protecting clotheslines. Compare this to most of the rest of the world, where front yard food growing was never stigmatized in the first place. In parts of Eastern Europe, dacha gardens, small household plots used for growing food, remain deeply embedded in everyday life. In much of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, growing vegetables near your home was never something you needed permission for. It was simply normal. America is, once again, the unusual case, not the standard. What's strange is that the Victory Garden movement proved at massive scale that ordinary families could grow a huge portion of their own food in the exact same space that lawns now occupy. It wasn't a fantasy. It happened nationwide for years. Then peacetime arrived, and a patriotic duty quietly got rebranded as a problem, something tidy suburbs needed to hide rather than display. So what really killed the front lawn garden? Not impracticality, not climate, not lack of demand. It was image, the exact same force that killed the clothesline and reshaped the brick house. A wartime necessity became associated with hardship the moment the war ended, and a new manufactured symbol, the uniform lawn, took its place as the marker of having made it. Next time you watch someone mow a perfectly green yard that produces nothing but clippings, remember that same patch of dirt fed nearly half the country's vegetables less than a century ago. Do you have a front yard garden? Or are you required to keep a lawn instead? Tell me in the comments. And if hidden American history interests you, there's a video right here about why Americans tip and the rest of the world doesn't.